Well, welcome to Year in Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. Finally, today, we are returning to the Clone Wars. We will be covering episodes 17 and 18 of the first season. Evan, you had something you wanted to say about what we've been covering, correct?
Yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys, listeners and all know, this was not intentional. Like, the gap we have now placed between our last coverage of the Clone Wars and now this one. When we had started The Mandalorian, we expected it to go a lot faster. And obviously that didn't happen.
No, we failed to account for human error.
When Jake and I had talked about it, we were not aware of how long it was actually going to take us to get through all of Mandalorian.
Right.
Now, granted, like, both of us thoroughly, like, we both enjoyed covering it, and it's a cool show and everything, but we did not expect this much of a gap between our last Clone Wars session and this Clone Wars session.
We wanted to jump into Mandalorian because it was a current running show. However, by the time we finished it, it's been not currently running for a while. We didn't do that very timely.
But I mean, on the plus side, though, we've got it done. So whenever season 3 of Mandalorian comes out, we can do those as they come out. We're all set up for it now.
Yeah, literally each week. So that one, depending on when it's uploaded, we will do it as soon as possible. I don't know what day they'll be released and stuff, but we'll do it. We'll try to get it done like almost immediately. And
yeah, but I mean,
but
basically, whenever season 3 of Mandalorian does come out, we can hit those as they come out instead of what we tried to do, which was cover season 1 and then hit season 2 as they came out, which did not work.
No, it didn't.
But that was our mistake, so I do apologize for that misunderstanding that we had.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement here. Evan's saying that, and he's speaking for both of us. Like that, if that bothered you, we apologize. I am really excited to get back into the Clone Wars, and we were both talking like, man, if we knew that this is how it was going to go, we wouldn't have taken a break. But whatever. Can only move forward, so we're going back into it. But yeah. I would like to throw out there, we have gotten a patron. We're unsure if they want to be mentioned by name in the podcast. So we would like to just say, hey, our first patron, thank you very much for helping us out and signing up for that. With our Patreon, and if anybody else would like to become a patron, what you get out of that is early access. Depending on the tier that you choose, you can get uncensored content, and we're going to do a bunch more. I think that when we're making like a decision on like what to do with the podcast, like it's like, I don't know what way we're going, what topic we're covering next, that will be up to the patrons to kind of vote and decide. Like, you guys have a good amount of say in the podcast because you are very generous with supporting our addictions. So it's just thank you, to our first one. But so we do have that set up.
The only thing I would say on that with patrons, kind of deciding where we go when we're kind of at a standstill. And this is something Jacob and I will talk about more. I don't know if we want to do like hey, vote on these options, or everybody submit your own options, or what, but we'll figure that out later. But patrons would definitely have a heavier influence on the direction of the podcast. As we go forward and as we finish different subjects and whatnot. So like as we finish the Lord of the Rings and that whole thing, like maybe patrons can decide where to go from there, or different stuff like that, So
right. But moving along, I have a little bit of Star Wars news that I saw recently. First off, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming up. That's not anything new. But with Obi-Wan Kenobi, we have seen that Hayden Christensen has been confirmed to return as Anakin. Well, now we got a news story that he's confirmed to return as Anakin in the upcoming Ahsoka series as well. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. Judging by...
That's got to be odd, though, because the Ahsoka series takes place, if I'm not mistaken, after Mandalorian.
See, and that's where I'm confused. So it's either flashbacks or Force Ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm very interested to see where that goes because I'm really unsure how it would, you know.
And because honestly, I'm hoping it goes flashbacks because we could then get flashbacks to other parts of the Clone Wars we haven't seen, even in the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah.
Or maybe even flashbacks into episodes of the Clone Wars that we have seen. And to get to
like
see
live
some
action
of those
versions, and
to get to see some of those scenes in live action, as well as in the Clone Wars TV show, would be really cool.
Yeah. So that's the only Star Wars news I saw recently. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited for all the upcoming Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess let's go ahead and get into the Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 17. It's titled The Blue Shadow Virus. How did we do this before? Was it... It's been so long. Did I read the summary and then you read the... Oh, God, that's a freaking bug. Bless America. Sorry. I was touching what I thought was the other earbud to my headset here, my thing, because I'm like, that usually dangles around, so I usually fidget with it. Well, I started doing that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I cut that off. Oh, God! And now I can smell it. It was a freaking stink bug. Sorry. So... Did we... Yeah, how did we do... God bless America. I hate that smell.
So I can read the brief description there, and then you can hit the little intro...
the quote?
Quote, yeah.
Sounds good.
So the little summary for this episode is Padme and Jar Jar search for a secret separatist bioweapons lab. That's our description for episode 17, Blue Shadow Virus. Just a reminder too, we are doing 2 Clone Wars episodes per podcast episode, just kind of a reminder since we haven't done these in a while.
Yep.
But that is the little summary we get for this episode, and then Jacob, if you want to do the quote.
Our little quote that we get is fear is a disease, hope is its only cure. So diving right into the episode, we open up and Padme has entered into Naboo. She and Jar Jar arrive and are talking to these other leaders, I guess, of Naboo, talking about how they're a bit threatened. They apparently found 3 battle droids.
Yeah, so with the opening scene right after we get that quote, we find out that more battle droids are landing on Naboo. And, the characters here are kind of getting the sense of another invasion like what we saw back in The Phantom Menace, something along those lines, especially now with the galaxy being at war.
Right.
And some of the Naboo militia or police or I guess their military force, captured some. They captured an intelligence droid that they're going to be questioning here soon. Right.
Meanwhile, Jar Jar is going after this little blue bug like the moron that he is. There is apparently, and I apologize for how I'm handling this because generally I watch the episode and take notes. I took notes before we started our Mandalorian coverage. So I'm playing quite a bit of what are we talking about again?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really trying to catch up. I have it playing right now, but oh god, dude, it's been a while.
Yeah, so basically there's a little blue bug that got on one of these battle droids that they have captured. And Jar Jar is being, like you said, being Jar Jar, being an idiot, trying to get it. As the rest of them are fidgeting with this intelligence droid or this information droid,
Right.
whatever.
And they're kind of like opening up its head, trying to get it to, trying to prod out information, you know. So that's what they were doing. They end up finding out that there's a secret lab on Naboo. Apparently because of a virus, or there's something to do with a virus. So, sorry, as I said, I'm watching this as well. So, they inform Yoda of this. Yoda sends 2 Jedi. Padme suggests Obi-Wan and Anakin be the Jedi that he sends. As they kind of explore, trying to find this secret lab, they find out that something's been in the water. It's killed some Gungan lady's cattle. Whatever these blurby things are, is apparently the equivalent of cattle, but it's like those. They're just creatures,
it's those same
whatever.
creatures that we saw in Attack of the Clones when Anakin and Padme were on Naboo. In that movie, the same, wildlife / cattle /
the big things that have just a big old rump on them.
Yeah.
The things that basically look like a balloon with some legs on it. But there's something in the water.
Like you said, we're seeing the water's poisoning them, and this Gungan local was, watering them, and they're dying now. The ones that have drank the water.
And also I would like to just read this line of note word for word, because as this person, this other Gungan, showed up, this is what I wrote. Oh God, there's 2 of them, all caps. No, 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 no. Screw Peppy and Jar Jar, they can die.
Oh.
That's this person's name. It's a female Jar Jar, essentially. But also this creature, the balloon animal, which I'm going to continue to call them that, but apparently they're called the Shack. They're called a Shack, or SHAAK. They're Shaquille O'Neal. But they keep going, and they find the secret lab.
Padme and Jar Jar do show up.
I guess they're not at this scene currently. You just see this happen, and then
Padme and Jar Jar show up there where those balloon cattle are all dead.
Right, and Padme and Jar Jar are wearing like hazmat suits because, again, something was in the water and something was.
I want to say,
something's up.
They hear virus, they don't know if it's airborne, if it's waterborne, if it's spread by, animals, anything like that.
Right.
So, like every precaution being taken.
Yeah.
But that other Gungan lady, takes Jar Jar's helmet off and kicks his butt because Jar Jar's useless.
Yeah.
And then eventually that's when they learn that it's not airborne. It's
right.
Yeah, it's spread via water.
Right. But they talk a little bit and end up searching for the secret lab. And we do see a little droid like head, kind of like a surveillance type, pop up, and it ends up, there's a creature, a person, manning it, but they see that these 2 are coming. And they go ahead and they approach like a kind of a clearing. There's some trees around. Jar Jar falls over.
Jar Jar slips and reveals the top of what we can assume is this base.
Right.
Padme,
so they found it.
Yeah, Padme radios in their their location of where they're at to Captain Typhon.
Typhoid fever.
Yeah, him. And as soon as she does, battle droids pop up and they get captured.
Right. And as they go in, they are under capture. But this crazy scientist guy that has he looks stupid. But he basically tells them that there's this blue shadow virus. It's intentional. Intentional recreation, because it was like, it used to be around, did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What he's done is he's recreated it and plans on weaponizing it. And
Yeah,
then he kind of goes on. Go ahead.
I would say it's kind of on the level of like think of like the bubonic plague, right?
Right.
Like back,
Yeah.
medieval England and Europe and whatnot, like the havoc that disease had on
Yeah.
that area. Like think of something like that, but like galactic scale, way back when this virus was still a thing before it was
Yeah.
finally eradicated. So
Right.
I would say think of something along those lines.
Yeah, and he kind of goes on and just shares his crazy wackadoodle views. It as a, what is it? Oh, this, yeah, sorry. He goes on, but part of these is that he views it as a life form that he's saving.
Mm-hmm.
We get one of those stupid little kangaroo droids bring in a bomb with it armed in it. And we just kind of see him. Oh, it's not armed in it yet, but he has it to where he's weaponizing it, as we can clearly see. He's got like some detonators. He's putting in a vial of the virus into it, and getting ready to basically release it. Like he's,
Yeah, and as we were told to, he is part of the Separatist Alliance.
Right.
So
Yep.
like it would definitely make sense for the Separatists to go along this route since all they use are droids. Droids are not going to be affected by viruses, whereas like the Republic with all of their clones and their Jedi generals and all of that, with the Republic more so. With the Republic, they actually care about people and whether people live or die, whereas the Separatists don't. Like this is an ideal. This is an ideal weapon for the Separatists, like to use bio weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we see that Obi-Wan and Anakin have arrived onto Naboo, and they're talking to Typhoid Fever and
with
as
Ahsoka.
well as...
Oh
yeah, Ahsoka's there. Sorry. Yeah, I missed that frame. She's there, and they start talking to Peppy Bow, or Bo, that frickin' other Gungan that needs to die. But they kind of share information, what's going on. And let's see.
They do. Anakin does send Ahsoka with the Gungan to go, with Peppy, to go see if they can find Padme and Jar Jar. While Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of get some more information from the droids that the Naboo troops have captured.
And this crazy scientist dude's name is Dr. Nuvo Vindi. Also, I have a theory about this. I believe he created the coronavirus. Just throwing it out there. I think it may have been him. But Peppy I cannot stand that character. Any Gungan I am very not nice towards, because my next part that I wrote in notes is Peppy once more needs her tongue ripped out and tied around her neck with enough force to barely keep her alive, but that just to make it so that breathing is laborious. She dies from oxygen deprivation over time, not direct strangling. So I cannot stand her, as clearly put by that.
So we do find out, though, as Anakin and Obi-Wan are watching a message from one of the droids, though, right before it cuts to back to the cuts to over to Ahsoka and Peppy. That this scientist has been missing for like 10 years, dropped off the radar. No one knew that he was still alive, and even like 10 years ago, he was wanted for different crimes and whatnot. And we find out that their plan is to take one or two of those bombs each to different key star systems to set them off. To, as he said earlier, reintroduce it back to the galaxy.
Right. And as they are still... Sorry. Wow. As Padme and Jar Jar are still captured, this doctor starts shocking them. And actually, I'm skipping ahead by a little bit, but not a ton happens between now and then, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, we see Ahsoka and Peppy arrive where Padme and Jar Jar last were, and they're avoiding the different cameras and whatnot. But then it jumps back to Anakin and Obi-Wan as they discuss what they're going to try and do about this. Because at one point, Obi-Wan does say, about stopping this virus, it's better to lose one planet and eliminate the virus than, do nothing and lose hundreds, if not thousands, of planets to a virus. Right. They're just kind of talking about that and their dislike of kind of the options they have before them.
Right.
Yeah, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan with some clones, start making their way out that way, as well as Ahsoka and Peppy or both just kind of hang out and wait for them to arrive.
Yeah. And, the doctor ends up shocking Padme and Jar Jar, kind of torturing them, but then Anakin has arrived and he decides to save them instead of chasing the doctor.
Yeah, because I think it's... Let me double check here. It looks like Anakin and Obi-Wan are both dropping in at different parts of the facility, because they did get a kind of a map of the facility from one of the droids. So it looks like Anakin dropped in at one point, Ahsoka another, Obi-Wan a third, and they're kind of cutting their way through the droids.
Yeah, they were at various locations.
Yeah.
And they're fighting their way in.
And like you said, Anakin shows up.
I did jump ahead by quite a bit.
Yeah, and Anakin shows up where Ahsoka and Jar Jar are with his clones, and they attempt to capture the Doctor. We see Obi-Wan save Ahsoka because her and her clones were fighting some what are they called? I'm drawing a blank. It's been so long since we've been on Clone Wars. I'm drawing a blank on names now.
Yeah, I know.
The roly droids with the shields.
Oh, droidicas?
Yes, thank you. I am drawing such a blank. It's been so long. But Obi-Wan shows up after he's dealt with his droids, saves Ahsoka and her clones that are fighting some droidicas. We see a little bit of a standoff between Anakin and the Doctor with their clones and droids respectively.
Yep.
And then Anakin tells all of his guys to stand down because Ahsoka and Jar Jar get shocked some more.
And so they end up choosing to save them.
And
Padme.
And so,
save Padme and Jar Jar. Though I think that he should have really just saved Padme. I mean...
we do see the Doctor start electrocuting Padme and Jar Jar some more as he takes off down the hallway. And basically, like you said, tells Anakin, it's either me or, these two.
Or save them, yeah.
Yeah, like, either save the senator and this representative or, capture me. Obviously with Anakin and his relationship with Padme, he's going to choose Padme over the Doctor. We do see the clones attack the droids as Anakin saves Padme and Jar Jar.
Yep.
And he lets Obi-Wan and Ahsoka know that the Doctor is on the run.
Yeah.
More battle between Ahsoka, her clones, and some more droids as Obi-Wan goes to search for the bombs that are stored there in the facility.
Yeah,
we do get to see some of the basically like EOD clones, the explosive disposal clones with their heavily oranged armor. Whereas, normal clones under Obi-Wan's command just have the little bits of orange on their armor. These guys are like a specific uniform to identify them as.
Right.
Bomb clones.
Yeah. And as they're dealing with that, they do notice one of the bombs is missing. Then we kind of cut ahead. A lot of people they're still fighting and stuff, but Anakin chases after this wackadoodle, to which he gets Anakin away from him by throwing a vial of that stuff over to be broken and released to where Anakin chases after it and catches it instead.
Yeah, because the doctor's got some sort of like briefcase where he's got extra vials.
Yeah.
That he's taking with him or attempting to take with him.
Right. And
but Anakin starts cutting through the door as he lets Obi-Wan know that the doctor is escaping. Obi-Wan leaves the 4 clones to deal with all the bombs, which have now been activated. And so they're all, trying to deactivate all the bombs as soon as possible. As Obi-Wan goes to try and get to the doctor. We do see Padme and Jar Jar looking for the little droid that had one of the one bomb that is missing. And they find it in a little, almost like a botany room. Like they got a bunch of different plants and stuff growing. As they are attempting to get the bomb from him. Padme, they do get the bomb from him, and Padme, takes it over to the clones to get deactivated as Ahsoka's trying to get over there as well.
Mm-hmm. And we cut back to Anakin. He has cut through the door, and Obi-Wan has joined him. They then try to attack Vindy, and he's shooting at them. He has a bunch of vials of that, which he just launches, and like they need to catch, and like he's just trying to deter them.
Yeah, and because the clones start shooting at him too, and Anakin tells him like, "No, we can't risk one of these vials getting dropped and broken."
Right.
He does throw a couple vials down to try and distract Obi-Wan, who had jumped up to try and get to the doctor, and Obi-Wan jumps back, catches the 3 or 4 that he throws as Anakin starts jumping up Force style and trying to get up there to arrest him. But as Anakin gets up there, we do see that this platform has reached the surface with a ship on it. And Dr. Vindy, this is like the 4th or 5th time we've seen him now try to throw one of these vials to get away.
Right.
But he gets ready to throw one of the vials, and Peppy, of all people, why did it have to be her? Like, why does she have to save the day? But she tackles the doctor as in the vial that he's holding goes flying up in the air.
Yeah, and Anakin catches that.
Yeah.
And he has a little timer on his wrist, counting down to when the bomb that Padme and them had is going to go off. We see it timing, like counting down on his wrist. It reaches 0, but nothing happens. We jump scenes, goes over to, kind of cuts to the clones, and they have successfully deactivated it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue that they saved the day, but I suppose.
Well, I guess I meant in terms of like catching the doctor.
Yeah. But that's then the end of this episode. That I'm left with the hope of a public execution for Vindy, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. I would just say, because this episode felt very kind of all over the place, and that is because we were jumping between like 4 different groups. We were jumping from Anakin to Obi-Wan to Ahsoka to Padme, and it kept jumping back and forth. So I do apologize if this specific episode seemed kind of jarbled and just kind of all over the place.
Yeah. But anyway, but now we are at kind of our little intermission that I once tried to fill with Star Wars jokes, but we now have sponsors, at least one. No, actually, sorry, we have 2. The one, is our regular one, but we actually have a new ad read, so I'm going to go ahead for that one. Also, I wrote this a year ago, so bear with me. This episode is sponsored by Dr. Nuvo, Vindy's Population Solution Devices. Do you have a planet facing overpopulation? Are lines too long at your local trading post? Are you just overwhelmed by the surplus of carbon-based life forms? If you answered yes to one or all of these questions, we can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that this product is for you. So what are you waiting for? Contact Dr. Nuvo Vindi today at 855-NUVO-BLUE. That's 855-NUVO-BLUE. Carrier rates may apply. We are not responsible for planet-wide catastrophic unfoldings for this product.
Solid.
Yeah. So we'll get, maybe something for that. But anyway,
Probably
regular sponsor. But anyway, resuming from our sponsor break for those two lovely sponsors. We are going to now dive into the 18th episode of Season 1, titled Mystery of a Thousand Moons. You want to go with the summary, and I'll do the quote, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. And I'll just say, too, like, this is a continuation from last episode, the same,
Yes. This is one of those episodes.
Storyline as of, like, what was going on. So this is
right.
like a part 2 to this small little story arc.
Yeah.
But as Jacob said, it's Mystery of the Thousand Moons, and the little summary we get for it is Anakin and Obi-Wan must find the antidote for a deadly virus.
So the quote that we get for this episode is, "A single chance is a galaxy of hope." But we start off the episode. Am I on the right episode? God bless America.
So we start the episode with a little
Sorry,
recap of what happened last episode with the Blue Shadow
virus. Yeah, you
virus.
go for it. God, dude.
And the episode picks up right away with, Anakin and Obi-Wan taking the doctor away to, they have arrested him and they're taking him back to Theed, the main city of Naboo, to, put him in prison so he can await trial and all that. We do see there are more clones and whatnot here in the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that one of the bombs, more specifically the bomb that that Padme had found with the little droid.
Yeah.
Though the bomb itself has been deactivated, it's missing the vial that was in it.
Yeah.
So, they sound the alarm and the whole base is put on lockdown as clones are searching for this little droid.
Yep.
And we do see the little droid is making his way into the bomb room.
Right.
To, we can assume, put it back in one of the bombs and activate the bomb.
Yeah.
Then we jump to Anakin and Obi-Wan with the doctor again.
Yep. And, Anakin and Obi-Wan are taking Vindi into custody. That's what's kind of going on there. We do see that stupid little word I won't say on the podcast, but fully mean, kangaroo droid released the virus. He has armed some different bombs and stuff, and as a result, released it.
We see, was it Rex with Ahsoka, and some other clones running for a safe room. It looks like there's four clones, a Rex and 3 others, and then Ahsoka. And they barely get in time. They actually have to, hold the door open so that way all of them can get there into that safe room.
Yeah. But, that's what happens. Through the Force, Ahsoka holds it open so they can all get through, and then she dives through herself.
And we do see it looks like maybe a little bit of the virus gets in, because like as the door actually closes, we see a little bit of the blue mist kind of dissipate there in the room.
Yeah, it does. I do see that. But
we do see Jar Jar and Padme still in that same room they were in last episode with the kind of the botany room. They both still have their hazmat suits. And they're talking with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and Anakin. And he's telling them to. And Anakin's making sure they know they need to hunt down whatever droids might still be hidden there in the facility to make sure they don't, escape and let the virus out on the entire planet. Because,
Meanwhile,
obviously the lab has been locked down, so Anakin and Obi-Wan could not even get back in if they wanted to right now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, Obi-Wan and Anakin are kind of interrogating Vindy, Obi-Wan's kind of, guiding Anakin in a way because he's wanting to start cutting off limbs.
Yeah, and I mean,
I don't blame him, but
I was
that's
about to say, you
Jedi
can't really
way,
blame
so,
Anakin for what this guy is trying to do and what he has now done. But the doctor does say, he didn't make this virus to cure it. He made it like he has not planned on the whole curing part of it. His sole purpose was to make it so it could be spread, and so
right.
he doesn't have an antidote for it.
And we do then cut back to Ahsoka and some of the clones, those that just got into the door. And like you pointed out, a little bit did get in. And they comment that it's been in here. They're contaminated. They didn't close the door fast enough. So Ahsoka kind of informs others of this. There is apparently potentially an antidote on the moon of some world, and
yeah, so I think it's the moon of Viego. I believe they say
Diego, like go Diego go, Dora's cousin.
Like Iego, get rid of the D. But yeah, they find out they need an extract of the Rixa root.
Yeah.
Yeah, found on Iego, the world of 1,000 moons, like the title of the episode. But it is in deep separatist space, so like it's gonna be not easy to get to said planet. We see a bit more of Anakin's frustration, especially where Padme's involved. He wants to get there right away, get this root so they can cure everybody. But Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan, we gotta have patience. We can't just go rushing into things. Being the level-headed person that Anakin needs around him 24/7.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're out searching, for the antidote. Ahsoka, meanwhile, is remaining very calm for, being that she's infected and potentially going to die. And Anakin and Obi-Wan arrive to one of the moons, one of the planets, and gets greeted by battle droids.
Yeah.
Painted, oddly enough. They're kind of like, they've got like a special kind of, I don't know, paint to them. Yeah, Anakin just starts slicing through them.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
At one point here, we do see Padme and Jar Jar reach Ahsoka and the clones, and they open the door. And although the virus is throughout this whole lab, and they all agree that as long as Ahsoka and the clones are alive, they're gonna help Padme and Jar Jar take care of whatever droids are left in the facility. So we do get a little bit of fighting there with Ahsoka and Rex and Padme and them taking out the remaining droids. But then, then they do finally arrive at Iego. Anakin sees all the droids marching towards them, as you were saying.
Yeah, and he slays. It just goes through a bunch of them. Then some kid shows up looking like Chimney Sweep Tom. It just says no one escapes the system alive, apparently. The system because of Droll, the phantom ruler of Iego.
We do find out that this little kid has reprogrammed all of these old, separatist battle droids. To essentially do his bidding and like basically treat him like an emperor, more or less.
Pretty much.
Because we do see some of them like fanning him. Another one brings over some fruit for him to eat. And he even has 2 vulture droids with like a hammock tied from one's leg to the other's leg that he can just sit in and relax.
Yeah,
We do
and he's
find
just
out
kinda
that the
chilling.
Separatists did used to be on this planet, and then at some point they left and left all these battle droids sitting behind.
Yeah. We cut back to the other group though that's still on Naboo. Ahsoka's fighting some droidekas. Then there's Padme and Jar Jar alongside. They're shooting, they're fighting because there's obviously a lot of droids still.
But we do see that Jar Jar's being stupid and goes to shoot at a droideka that Ahsoka's about to take out, and Padme like jumps in front of him and stops him. The whole ricochet thing that can happen, and one of the tubes for Padme's helmet actually gets disconnected, and so she is then infected with the virus as well.
Yep. So now
because
she's
Jar Jar is
infected. But then she says, "Don't," because Ahsoka's like, freaking out, and Padme says, she says, "Don't blame yourself. These things tend to happen in a war zone." Which, by the way, no, they don't. They tend to happen when you let that idiot around you. He needs to die. I think that it's seriously a service to all galactic humanity in the Star Wars universe to just execute Jar Jar. His idiocy serves no purpose other than to screw things up and occasionally walk through. No, I'm ranting now because it's affected Padme.
Well, I mean, I'm in 100% agreement with you, because if they would just off Jar Jar now, the whole Empire Rising thing would not happen.
No, we would still have the Jedi Order. Obi-Wan would be good. Anakin and Padme would probably still be happily together. It would all be good, and it goes back to Jar Jar. I didn't even think about this.
I don't know if we would get that good of an outcome at this point, Jacob.
Maybe not, but
at the very least,
yeah,
Palpatine would not get all the emergency powers that he needs to take control of the entire galaxy at the end of Episode 3, because in Episode 3, that's when Jar Jar gives it all to him.
Right, but going back, so, maybe he still
Order 66 might still happen. That's still a very real possibility.
I suppose he is still the Chancellor and stuff, so potentially.
Even with that still happening, okay, we lose the Jedi Order in a similar fashion that we did. But the Palpatine would not get all the power he needs to turn the galaxy into an empire. Like, we would still have the clones. More than likely, Palpatine would have been removed from power. A new Chancellor in there. The Republic would still exist.
Yeah.
And
even
more than likely,
let's say that that's one of those fixed moments in time, where whatever happens, it leads to it still happening. At the very least, considering that, even lesser than what you brought up, at least we don't have to see Jar Jar ever again.
Facts.
I would be willing to settle with that.
I would even be okay with them giving him a moment on screen for a funeral for Jar Jar, as long as he was dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would be okay with, I don't know, max 2-3 minute scene of a funeral, just of him, open casket, just shredded on the battlefield, but they still decided to go open casket, even though they shouldn't. I would love to see fragments of Jar Jar.
Well, just so you know, Jacob,
pour puzzle pieces together in a coffin.
Just so you know, Jacob, for a little bit of, at least this happens. During the whole time of the Empire and whatnot, Jar Jar gets completely shunned and turns into a freaking homeless hermit on Naboo, because
I don't care.
Everybody blames him for the rise of the Empire. So at least, there's a little bit of, this is the punishments for your actions. But, it's not enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough because it happens in life. Yeah. Either way, let's go back to the episode.
But, yeah, back to the episode. Jar Jar is single-handedly to blame for Padme getting infected. Because
Correct.
Padme has to stop him, because he's going to do something stupid that is potentially going to kill clones, Ahsoka, and or Padme.
Yep.
Anyways, it jumps back to Iago, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are scaling the side of a cliff to try and get some of this root.
Yep.
And they are told by the little kid that, he tells them to follow the vines to the bottom, dig out the root, but do not touch the vines.
Mm-hmm.
And tells them, Obi-Wan asks, well, why not touch the vines? And he says, because the plants don't like it. They have big, sharp teeth. So, some sort of plant
Mm-hmm.
monster.
Yeah. And as sorry, it cut back right as I was about to say what's going on. You know what? You take it, because obviously you see, this has kind of become our dynamic, right? I watch it ahead. I make notes. Given that I remember what I took notes on, I can narrate just as good. Remember where you're at as you're reading it, or as you're listening and watching the show. So it's like, if you start narrating, you've got it kind of perfected to the point where you're okay with reading it and narrating what's going on screen. I'm struggling with that part, and I don't have notes. So it's kind of up to you right now, I feel like, because I'm stuttering. The only thing I'm really doing okay at is getting my blood pressure up because of Jar Jar.
Okay.
So you take the reins, buddy.
Doesn't help that you also watched the episode like a year ago.
That is, and that's where it was like very important that in our normal dynamic, I have taken notes, and given that I remember the episode, can go through the notes. The notes are a reference to the episode to recall events in the episode in my mind. But if they're not in my mind, they're gone, and it's not worth anything. So, anyway.
They are warned to watch out for the flying Xandu. And as Anakin asks what a Xandu is, one pops out of a crack there in the wall, and Anakin grabs its leg. As Obi-Wan is just kind of watching, tells Obi-Wan to hop on. They're holding its legs, as it's at this point with so much weight, it's lowering them to the ground. It jumps back to the lab, and they see the last two droids trying to cut their way through the hatch to release the virus, just as Ahsoka and the clones and all of them are showing up. And Ahsoka dispatches of the two droids. But we do see that the virus is finally, taking its effect on at least Ahsoka, as she kind of stumbles, being worn out, shortness of breath, all that kind of stuff.
Right, and just keep in mind at this point, too, the virus has been released, but only in this secret lab.
Yeah.
So the droids are trying to get out of there and open it up so that it gets released to the rest of the world. Whereas though Ahsoka, Padme, and all them are infected, they're stuck down there, and they're like, okay, we can't let it get out.
Yeah, and at this point, Ahsoka and Padme, Rex, the other clones, they're all aware, and I would say at this point have accepted the fact that they're going to die down there. Because, they can't let it get released, and Jar Jar's going to die down there, because even though he's in a hazmat suit, he can't just leave, because that will release the virus as well.
I don't know. I think is stupid. I think he would probably, still open it up and be like, Misa want to see the sky or something, and then he'd freaking doom the entire planet because he's an idiot.
That wouldn't surprise me, but they have all accepted the fact that they're dead. They're dead men walking, essentially.
Yeah.
And at this point, all they can do is just prevent the virus from being released. But it does jump back to Obi-Wan and Anakin as they finally reach the ground. They let go of the Xandu, and they get ready to, or as they land, they're getting ready to cut the root, but the plants start getting aggressive and start trying to attack them. Anakin starts cutting at one of the roots to get it out so they can get the antidote and whatnot, as Obi-Wan's standing there ready to fight this plant, but Anakin gets it out just in time before they actually have to fight it. And they both start climbing their way out of this ravine, cutting off some of the heads, limbs of these Venus flytrap looking plants.
Mm-hmm.
And it retreats down, and they climb back up to find whatever the kid's name was. I never paid attention to what his name was.
Chimney Sweep Tom.
Works
Again,
for
that's what
me.
I'm calling him. He looks dirty, and I can see it.
Um, but we see them walking with the kid, and then as they're kind of talking to him about what happened there on the planet to kind of leave them where they're at now, where the kid kind of says, when the spice trade stopped happening there, and then as the separatists left, they all just kind of got stranded there. We see what I can only assume is some homeless guy. He's one
Mm-hmm.
of the little squid face guys from the
On the
planet of
Quarren.
Mon.
Yep.
He starts rambling like the planet is cursed. It's the evil spirit. It's the typical doomsday, the doomsday people out there with the signs on them like the end is nigh. We're all dead. Blah blah blah. The typical ranting. That's kind of what he's doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he mentions Droll again. And refers to it
Mm-hmm.
as a ghost. He says it's the spirit of the thousand moons, our protector and destroyer.
Yeah.
And it's to the point, whether Droll is an actual spirit or not, it's to the point that whatever is causing them to be stranded here is doing such a good job that, like, locals, as locals do, you know, start going on the superstition and the paranormal, you know,
Well,
whatever
I
you want
mean,
to
but
call it.
really, yeah, and look at the Quarren, right? Talking about superstition, just kind of odd thing, like coming up with things. I mean, he himself was created by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, true.
I'm saying that
It
he's
fits.
Cthulhu.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
All
I'm
right,
picking
I
up
don't
what you're
know.
putting down
I don't
there.
know. Somewhat, you just kind of shrugged it off. I'm like, I don't know if you get it, but all right. Just making sure.
um,
Yeah.
but as they kind of get this new information from Mr. Squid Boy, he puts down kind of like a little hollow disc, and we see it essentially just shows us whatever Greedo's race is. I'm drawing a blank on what that actual race
I
is
don't know. I
called,
just
but
call him
one of
Greedo.
those guys is the same race as Greedo.
Call him
Um,
Greedo, boys.
we see him sitting in like the chair of his ship, and he's like, I can't hold it, someone help, no, blah, and then explosion.
Hmm.
And essentially, like, there actually is something there stopping people from leaving. This is kind of like their proof that something's
Yeah.
out there.
Right.
But we see Anakin and Obi-Wan get back in the Twilight. Their Anakin's ship, all the way back from the Clone Wars movie that we covered.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to take off to attempt to leave the planet.
Yep.
And Obi-Wan kind of reaffirms what we kind of said. Eve, like they don't believe that Droll is a real thing. Anakin and Obi-Wan don't, but there's definitely something up there stopping ships from leaving. Because as we saw them come in to the planet, there's a bunch of debris and destroyed ships and whatnot surrounding the planet.
Right.
And they start making their way off the planet, back into this graveyard of ships. And as they're getting a little further out, R2 starts kind of like acting up, like kind of like shaking and whatnot, as R2 does.
Yeah.
And Anakin's like, "Oh, what's wrong, R2? Like, there's nothing to worry about out here. It's just a superstition." As we see a bunch of like laser beams and whatnot spread from pieces of debris to debris, and Obi-Wan says it's an energy field.
Yeah.
And we get a visual from the planet as some of the people are watching, and the whole sky, even though it's daytime, lights up, as what we now know is an energy field. But as far as these people know, it's Droll, their evil protector / ghost.
Yeah.
And they end up turning back to the planet after Anakin attempts to bob and weave his way through. They go to turn back to the planet, and Obi-Wan assumes and kind of makes the assumption that the Separatists have left, that their as they left the planet to keep the inhabitants stuck there on the planet because the Separatists are a bunch of poodoos.
Yeah. They get a hologram though from Padme and Ahsoka, kind of letting them, Obi-Wan and Anakin, know what's going on. They themselves are looking like they're feeling a little blue. Haha. But informs them of what's going on.
Yeah, and you said that kind of as a joke, a little blue, but when we do see Ahsoka and Padme like in the flesh, more or less, with this episode, like they're turning blue. Like it's almost like they're like it's like oxygen deprived from the virus itself.
Yeah, like their faces are there. You can kind of see their veins in their face like more pronounced. Yeah. It's like they are developing this overall kind of bluish thing, which would explain why it isn't. I mean, blue shadow virus.
Yeah, the virus itself looks blue, and then it makes people and living things look blue.
Yeah.
But that hologram cuts off, and obviously, Anakin is becoming hysterical and
yep,
kind of freaking out. And again, Obi-Wan, being the voice of reason as he always is, is trying to calm him down. And then we see Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of explain to the people there on Iago that it's not a spirit keeping them there; it's some sort of separatist trap they've set up.
Mm-hmm.
We see Mr. Squidface again, like trying to do his whole superstition, ghost thing. He's just, at this point, no, I don't really think anyone's believing him because they're actually getting a valid what it is compared to their typical what they hear as from, I'm assuming, this guy and maybe a couple others, the whole superstition end of it. But we do have a figure enter the room, and it's referred to as an angel, and this is one of those cool little tie-ins that they did. Because if you remember back to The Phantom Menace, when Anakin first meets Padme, he asks her if she's an angel. And he says he thinks they're found on the moon, or on the he thinks they're found on the moons of Iago, and they are on Iago.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a cool little tie-in they did there with a little bit of information we got all the way back in the Phantom Menace, and then now here into the Clone Wars. I like that little tie-in they did there.
Yeah, that's cool.
But she comes in, and kind of lets us know that they used to live there on this planet on Iago before the Separatists arrive, and tells us that the angels, quote unquote, are from one of the moons of Iago known as Milius Prime.
That would be Optimus Prime's little cousin.
I think that's his brother.
Is it?
It could be.
It could be brother. I don't know. His family tree is a little bit odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very strange. But Anakin and Obi-Wan assume that that's where the node is at, the kind of the starting point for this energy field the Separatists have put in place. Yeah. And Obi-Wan kind of comes up with an idea to reactivate some Vulture droids that were left there, and kind of use those to destroy this central node.
Yeah.
It jumps back to Ahsoka and Padme as they're trying to take care of some of the clones that are looking a lot worse and hacking and coughing and are stuck on the ground and whatnot. We see Rex cover one of them up with a blanket or some cloth, essentially telling us that at least one of the clones has now died from this virus.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, we see kind of, collapses and passes out, so it's really affecting her as well. Their situation's gone from bad to worse at this point. Instead of just being infected, they got people dying now. And, they're trapped, obviously. As we said, they all plan to die there anyways, once they realized they were all infected. But, showing us how dire it's actually getting down there now.
Right. And we do then see Obi-Wan, Anakin, and R2 on the whatever you said that one was called, his ship.
On the
Think
Twilight.
of it. Yeah, Twilight. And they're going out there with an army of the remote control vulture droids, and they decide to, they attack that kind of starting node, as you said. That is signaling for the whole web of like defense, whatever you call it, blocking
and it almost
transport
looks
to
like,
the planet.
It almost looks like, too, with this kind of trap that the Separatists have set up here, because we get to see a little bit of it on some of the surrounding asteroids. And it looks like there's multiple different small little points there on the asteroids that can activate as they have maybe some sort of like movement sensor on them.
Yeah.
Because for like one or two of the vulture droids, if you really look, you kind of see like there's no like energy beam there, and then as soon as those droids get close, that's when the energy beam pops up and destroys them.
Yeah.
So I would assume it's some sort of like motion activated, some sort of sensor that activates specific energy beams as needed to keep ships in place.
Yep.
But we do see the vulture droids, and I think the Twilight as well, shoot at that central node. And obviously once it's destroyed, all the beams kind of go away and start deactivating, blowing up some here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And they radio back down to let the locals know that Droll has been taken care of. They can leave whenever they want. It's safe now.
And then they appear back on Naboo, and we kind of have cut ahead to seeing, we see Padme and Ahsoka being rolled out on a stretcher, and Anakin informs her, being Padme, that the medic expects them to make a full recovery, signifying that they have successfully delivered this, antidotal root, whatever they found, and administered it, and they're going to be good.
Yeah, and my question is, like, how far away is Diego from Naboo that they were able to make it there and back that fast?
Yeah, it's
like I get it. It's a cartoon. It's like a kid's show. Oh, excuse me. But like, if we think of this in like space and distances and all that kind of stuff for Star Wars universe and all that, like Diego realistically cannot be that far from Naboo for them to make it there and back.
No, fast. And I mean, I suppose there's light speed.
Yeah, but I mean, even to get from like one planet to another that are close by, it still takes a while. Even in light speed, even in like going through hyperspace and whatnot. Like it's not like hyperspace. Okay, 2 seconds later we're there.
Yeah.
So
no, you're
like that's definitely
right.
I don't know. I guess I'd have to look at like an actual map of like the Star Wars universe. Like, all right, there's Naboo, there's Diego. That's how close they are. But
yeah, I don't know. It for sure seems like a bit of a stretch. Like, realistically, could they have made it? And I mean, maybe it's close by. Who knows? But yeah, it's for sure kind of one of those things where it's like, ooh, man, I don't think this.
And then my other question is, like, obviously they did something to clear out the virus from the lab to get these guys out.
That was my main question too. Yeah.
But like, what did they do? Did they just use like some sort of vacuum or something to suck it out? And if they like, and then like, how did they get into the lab to do that without releasing the virus? Like, how did? Was there some sort of like built-in pressurized system? Was there?
Yeah, I don't know. That was another question I had mainly because, like, how did they get to this point? But yeah.
Yeah. But here with closing the episode, Padme does let Anakin know that Ahsoka did really well. Like definitely kept it together, did what she had to do. As we see her getting loaded onto one of the lat gunships, and we see dumb. I apologize for you having to make more notes. But we see dump Jar Jar, trying to get the helmet off of his hazmat suit, being an idiot again. And Obi-Wan comes over and helps him get his helmet off.
Yeah, and he even says that Senator Amidala suggested we offer you training to help you hone your skills with a blaster. Obi-Wan says that to Jar Jar, and Rex chimes in, and he's like, I'm not training him. He's like, no, I don't want anything to do with him.
Even Rex, even characters in Star Wars don't like Jar Jar.
Yeah, and by the way, what I find even funnier about this is Obi-Wan's going, he's like, yeah, you can be trained with to hone your skills with a blaster, and Jar Jar's like, I'm going to be trained, and Rex is like, he's been infected, so he's not in great condition, and he's being carried by them on a gurney, and he's just like, I'm not training him, like sick, and he's like, no,
Well, because with the way that Anakin treats Rex, which is fairly good, as Jedi generals go, Anakin is one of the best.
Yeah.
But with some of the stupid stuff that Anakin makes Rex do with Anakin, mind you, because Anakin's always a part of the stupid plans, Rex knows that they're going to try and get him to train Jar Jar. And it's just like Rex is smart enough to realize that that's going to be a terrible time.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be no fun for anybody, and Rex would probably die if he was the one that got stuck training Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But we see Anakin go up to Ahsoka and be like, I heard you did good, and of course the typical Padawan line, like, all thanks to your training,
Yeah.
And of course Anakin being Anakin, yeah, it was all because of me, you wouldn't be able to do it without me. I guess I get the credit, like, I'll go ahead and take that off your shoulders, Ahsoka, don't worry about that.
Uh-huh. But, yeah, anyway, and then they get loaded up onto some LAAT gunships and take off and end episode.
And scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the credits at that point. And
yep.
That ends out season 1, episode 18, Mystery of the Thousand Moons.
Yep.
In case anybody did not pick up on it, they're referring to the 1,000 moons as all the debris and stuff around the planet. It doesn't actually have 1,000 moons. In case anybody was a little slow on the uptake on that.
Yeah, if that was a mystery to anybody.
Oh boy.
Anyway. So yeah, that's our coverage of those 2 episodes of the Clone Wars. Next time on Clone Wars, we will cover 19 and 20, and I will be sure to watch them. I do have my notes already, but I still need to just at least do a bit of a refresher because today was holy cow.
And I will say this on those, because we have 4 episodes left in season 1,
right.
And obviously we do them 2 at a time. Episodes 19, 20, and 21 are all 3 part of an arc.
Okay.
All 3 of them are part of an arc, although we'll still do 19 and 20, and then 21 and 22.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again once we do 19 and 20. Just kind of keep in your mind that 19, 20, and 21 are all part of a singular arc, story-wise.
Okay. Yeah, and keep that in mind for you guys. That was also information to me because I don't remember. I don't remember what I watched.
But yeah, so next time we'll cover, like you said, 19 and 20. But those 3 are on the planet of Ryloth, so we'll get to see some Twi'leks. Is kind of the Ryloth is their home planet, so that's kind of that'll be the scene of the next 3 episodes of the Clone Wars. Our next 2 coverages of the podcast will get
right.
Yeah,
and I just want to point out too that we are recording on October 26th right now. This episode will be scheduled for let's see. I believe November 8th. I may be wrong on that. No, I'm not, because we have not wrapped up Mandalorian yet, technically, as far as what's public. So yeah, November 8th. That is 2 weeks in advance. That if you did want to get early access to this, you would be able to via Patreon. I try to edit this at least the pretty well the day after we record. So that would, I mean, there is benefit if you're actually interested in the content that we put out there, you know.
Yeah, and this is kind of for saying for like in the future, like keep in mind as of right now we are like 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Right,
recording wise.
Literally me saying that is like nobody's going to hear it that's not already a patron. I'm just saying that just to show you, it's like we are recording 2 weeks in advance to this thing's release date, so really you could be getting pretty early access. I just want to, point that out. It's not a necessarily a selling point. It's like I don't know. It's like if you guys are generous enough to become a patron, we will thank you a million times over, and you will, receive early access. But it's like you don't have to, and we don't expect anybody to.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like here going forward, unless we have something that puts us back, kind of behind schedule or anything like that. As of right now, you guys, anyone that would want to, donate and help us on that side, like there's a lot of potential, at least for early access to episodes, and and that could even early access to uncensored episodes as well, or uncensored material as well. So like if that's something you guys are interested in, there's plenty of, as of right now, there's plenty of opportunity for you guys to get that kind of access.
Right, and also with patrons, I want to point out that if we ever get to the point that we were to do like merch and stuff like that, I would say that patrons are, kind of get to be the ones who give the input, help out in that process, and probably even get, kind of first dibs.
Potentially. Yeah. Maybe either a piece of free merch or like a discounted piece of merch.
Oh, yeah.
At whenever that time comes.
I would say, depending on, let's say that somebody's been a patron for a while, it would be free merch. I think that that's a good way to give back.
Yeah.
But this is all stuff that we have no idea. We're not even at a point where we're making merch, or we're not even at a large enough following where we'd consider it. So this is just all potential.
Kind of something to keep in mind as you kind of maybe think about making that decision, and that's some stuff that Jacob and I have talked about before, and we'll continue to talk about on the side to kind of figure out where we're going from there.
Right.
But anyways, to kind of close out this episode, did you have any final thoughts on this specific Clone Wars episode, or even the last one that we covered both in this podcast episode? Any last thoughts on those?
Not really. I think that the doctor there should be murdered. I find myself very often wishing death upon fictional characters in very graphic ways. And this is no exception to that. I don't want him there. I don't want Jar Jar there. The weird little female counterpart to Jar Jar, I want her dead too.
Yep.
That being said, no, not really anything. I enjoy. I'm super happy that we're back into the Clone Wars. That's all that I really have to say. I'm happy to get back into that. My closing comments would be, keep the downloads coming, keep on keeping up with us, share to your friends, all that, because every 1,000 downloads is a blooper reel. And please go and leave an Apple podcast review, because what happens when we get 25 of those?
Every 25 of those, as I've said every episode, we get that. We'll be able to do. Not even be able. We will do a live stream coverage of whatever episode, or now that we're back in the Clone Wars, a couple of episodes that we cover, or
Yeah.
whatever part of film we're in at that time covering, where you guys can interact with us, ask questions, give comments,
Yep.
send us stupid jokes,
Yeah,
and make us
honestly,
completely laugh and lose our place of what we're covering. So, I mean, like, you guys can just kind of mess with us or ask
yeah.
questions that you guys genuinely have about whatever we're covering
Yep.
at the time. But as I've said before, that is 100% on you guys.
Right.
And I know I personally would really like to do a live stream coverage.
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
Yeah, we're
That'd be
going to
great.
stick to those goals. So the more people you guys tell, the more you spread it, the more people that leave reviews, the sooner and eventually more often we'll be able to do those live stream coverages.
Right. And speaking of questions and stuff, yeah, in a live stream, we would answer those, but I don't know when that live stream is going to be. So if you have questions that you want answered before then, we have a bunch of links in the description that you can contact us at, one of which is email. Then there's Instagram and TikTok, all of which the DMs are open. You guys can go ahead and send us messages, ask things, give input, any of that. And then there's the other things you can find us at if you're interested to see what else we do for kind of hobbies and creating things and all that. So that's all in the description. But
and I would say on that too, with asking questions, especially with what we're covering right now, with it being Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, like, this is ample time. If you have questions specifically on these two different, universes, ample time to ask, because I would like to think that you and I are both pretty knowledgeable in Star Wars.
I would say that you're more so than me, but I would like. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the two of us are pretty knowledgeable. There's not a whole lot in the Star Wars universe, if you guys were to ask, that we wouldn't have an answer to.
Yeah, and if there's,
and then on the Lord of the Rings side of it too, although we haven't had him on as like a guest or anything like that, my brother,
because we try to limit podcast episodes to an hour.
Yeah. But he is, really into the whole Lord of the Rings universe. He knows like the whole backstory of all the different characters, all the different stuff. Like, he has that information. So, like, if you guys had any questions on the Lord of the Rings side, like, you can ask and I can talk to him and, we can get those answers. I think we have pretty solid sources, at least as of right now, for Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And then even eventually when we get into Marvel, I know Jacob's a huge fan of Marvel. And so I'm sure he'd have answers to a lot of the questions for that as well. And so I guess really what I'm saying, like, we're not just going to give you guys some half answer, for any questions that you have. And I think now would be a really ample time, if you guys do have questions, to go ahead and ask them.
Yeah. I would agree. And especially
with my whole rant thing that I just did right there. Whatever.
Yeah. But and especially, and I'm not going to keep dragging this on. We're done. But I will say that, especially with sending them in now, via live stream, if we don't directly know it, we can consult our sources. We can do the research to provide an answer for you. If you want a more compiled answer than your own research could provide, I guess. Though that being said, I feel like you could probably still figure it out. But if you just, I don't know, if you want our opinion on something, you want our take on it, if you want us to do the work instead of you, there you go. Those are your methods. But either way, we've talked long enough, so goodbye.
Peace.
Deuces.